Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk.
Pretty big day on Saturday, Oklahoma, Texas. The Red River Rivalry heats up. Man, it's a game of desperation if you're the Longhorns. It's a game that you absolutely have to have. If you're Oklahoma, it's a game that you want to have, but it doesn't kill you on your season. What I said earlier in the week was if you lose this game, if you're Oklahoma and you lose this game, you lose some pride, but you don't lose anything else in terms of your conference championship hopes or even your playoff hopes. One loss is not going to kill either one of those things. But still, man, Caleb, if you're Oklahoma, you want to come out of this thing on the plus side, because I think what Center fans absolutely don't want is to be on the losing side 3 times in the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for Brent Venables, he not a great record in this game, just 1-2. And so this would be a game where a lot of people I feel like can get off his back. I still feel like a lot of people hasn't completely removed him off the hot seat, even though Oklahoma is number 5 in the country. So if you go out there and you win this game, a lot of people are going to start giving him a little more grace.
Well, the big story here is not the game, it's the quarterback. On one side, you've got the Manning kid, who everyone thought was all world coming into the season. On the other side, you've got who knows? Who knows going to play? Who's going to play a quarterback for Oklahoma? The Thursday report came out. John Mateer listed it as probable on this Thursday report. So here we go, man. Call your shot. Will he or won't he? Is John Mateer going to play for Oklahoma on Saturday?
Absolutely. The timing of this surgery couldn't have been more perfect for John Mateer, because you had the off week and then you have Kent State, then you go into Texas. To me, if he was going to miss Texas, I feel like the surgery would not have happened. And again, just everything that's led up to tonight, to the listing as probable, which was a shock to me. I thought he was going to be questionable all the way up until Saturday, but we get that probable tonight. I don't recall. I know, I get it. It's only the second season in the SEC, so the second season of the injury reports. But I don't remember a player being listed as probable for Oklahoma that hasn't played.
Yeah, see, I don't either, but I'm sure there's been at least one. And I've got a couple of problems here, Caleb. Here's my first problem, is that I don't know how much gamesmanship is going into this, right? Because probable still doesn't mean definitely. And I know as Sooner Nation, we get our hopes up. We really want this to happen in this way. And so we see that word probable and we think that means definite, which it doesn't. And I think if you're just trying to get something over on Texas, you got doubt, you got questions, you got doubt, you got questions. Now you got a probable. So what do you do in your final defensive meetings, right? Thursday, you see probable. That means on your final meetings on Friday, you start leaning towards a heavier game plan for John Mateer, which, again, may be the case. But that's my first issue here. That's my first problem, is I don't know how much is just gamesmanship and how much is reality. The second problem I have is more of a personal issue, is that I'm already on record. Sunday night with you, I said, not going to play. I said that was my biggest takeaway from the Kent State game, was that they were playing Hawkins in such a way that it indicated to me that John Mateer's not going to play. Now, here's the thing. I certainly don't feel as strongly about that now as I did on Sunday. but I kind of feel like I have to stick to my guns because one of the things that really irritates me is when somebody who has a voice, has an opinion, has a podcast or whatever, says one thing, and then a few days later they say the opposite. And then when either it happens, they're like, "Yep, I was right," And so I want to be wrong here, and I even said on Sunday that I want to be wrong. But out of respect for everything that we have established, I got to stick to my guns here and say, no, he doesn't play. But again, I don't feel as strongly about it as I did on Sunday when last time we met together to have a podcast. I hope he plays, Caleb. I really do. We'll come back to quarterback stuff later on. Let me ask you this. Going into this game, you've grown up around this game. You have been to this game in person. You were there for the big comeback with Caleb Williams. This game is a very, very big deal to you. I get that. And as well it is to me and all of Sooner Nation. What is your biggest concern? As Saturday approaches, around 2:00 Saturday afternoon, just what is your gut going to be churning about? What is it that makes you most anxious?
The running game, that's been a big concern all season long is can we get the running game up and going? And we haven't seen it through 5 games.
Yeah.
And even no matter who that quarterback, if it's John Mateer or Hawkins, the running game has to be big.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to that big comeback with that Caleb Williams led. It started with the ground game. It started with his Caleb Williams 50-so yard touchdown, and then Kennedy Burks had it. I understand that he had the walk-off touchdown, but he had a big night just period. To take the lead late in the fourth quarter before Texas goes down to tie it up. The same exact play that he scores to win the game, he scores to take the lead. And you go back even to that, the 2023 win with Dylan Gabriel. The running game was a big part of why we won that game.
Yeah, I get it, man. And again, I'm going to come back to the running game later on in this episode. I think what scares me the most as an Oklahoma fan going into this game is the desperation factor on the side of Texas. Like I said, if Oklahoma loses this game, there's a way. I said this on my Tuesday podcast. There's a way Oklahoma can lose this game without John Mateer playing and still be considered a contender. Even if they do lose with John Mateer playing and knowing he's not 100%, if it's a 1-score game, Oklahoma's a contender. No one's writing them off. But if Texas, they've already dropped out of the top 25. They're 3-2 on the season. You lose this game, you drop to 3-3. This is a must-have game for the Texas Longhorns. With one conference loss, you're still in the conversation for everything. With 2 conference losses, you need a lot of help. And I do believe, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that this is a talented roster for the Texas Longhorns. And there's just something about this game when talent and desperation come together, things can happen, right? Look at Florida last Saturday in the swamp against the Longhorns. That was desperation and talent coming together. And that scares me, Caleb. I'm just going to be honest with you. That scares me going into this game. Because let's talk about the desperation for just a second, just to put it all in perspective. Let's jump in the time machine. And I'll take you back just a couple months. I'll take you back to August. Let's say today's the 9th of October. So let's go back 2 months. Let's go back to August 9th. And I'm going to say, hey, Caleb, when Oklahoma and Texas play each other, actually today's the 10th, isn't it? So we're going to go ahead. I'm just so lost. But whatever. You get my say. A month ago, Caleb, when Texas and Oklahoma play on the 12th of October, one team will be ranked number 6 in the nation. One team will be unranked and have 2 losses. Now you got to put $50 on guessing which team is which. Who are you picking as the undefeated top ranked team?
I mean, that's a lot harder of a question because I've called it since before the Ohio State game that I did not think Texas was going to be as good as they are, or as good as they
Mm-hmm.
were being made out to be. I was not a big fan of Arch Manning. I thought he hadn't proved anything in two so far in the season. He still hasn't proven anything. So but if I had to put $50 on it, I probably would have leaned Oklahoma.
So you just want to blow up my illustration. That's all you're doing here. No, I get it. I get what you're saying. But
See,
when you look
that
at the
Oklahoma was going to be 3-2. That's blown up your illustration.
oh, sorry. So I thought you were gonna say like my bad. My bad. Overreaction, just like the Texas media. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like so there is a measured level of desperation here. People are mad at Sark. People are mad. They're calling to bench Manning. They're just where are the running backs? This offensive line is garbage. I mean, all these things that are happening, it just builds that desperation. And this is it, man. You come out swinging and you beat Oklahoma. Suddenly, it smells like roses again. You lose this game and you smell like Bevo's backside, and that's where you want them to be if you're an Oklahoma fan. But man, that desperation, it just reeks of desperation, and it scares me. And what my saving grace in all of this is, that Oklahoma has faced 2 top 25 opponents already this season, and one of them is still top 25. So there you have it. That's my biggest concern going into Saturday. We do have true or false. So this is a part of the podcast where I'm sorry I jumped at you, man. I thought you were saying you were going to pick Oklahoma as undefeated. So my bad. I hope we can still be friends after this. So true or false, all about Oklahoma, Texas. I'm going to throw 3 statements out at you. You're going to tell me whether they're true or whether they're false, and you're going to tell me the reasoning why. And then I may jump in there with a thought or two as well. So are you ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Number 1, true or false? Oklahoma does not need John Mateer to win this game.
I'm going to say true. I still think Hawkins played good enough last week to give Oklahoma a chance. This is going to be a game that's going to come down to controlling the ball and special teams. And I get it that it was Kent State, but our special teams have been really good throughout the season, especially last week. And this, if you look at the Florida defensive line, they were like 113th in the nation with pressure and sacks.
Right.
And they just dominated that line of scrimmage. You look to Oklahoma, who has the number 1 defensive line for pressure and sacks. That, to me, that is going to be a recipe for success in this game. So I would say true. Now, would I much rather have John Mateer? Absolutely. But do I think it's necessary to win? No.
I agree 100% with you. I just want to say I hate the fact that you mentioned special teams twice and defensive line once in that answer, and you're going to find out why I hate that here in just a second. But I agree. I think Michael. Here's another point. Bonus, true or false? With John Mateer in the game, Oklahoma's big play capability increases exponentially. True or false?
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. But that doesn't take away from the point that if you put Michael Hawkins in there, all he has to do, he doesn't have to be that big play threat that John Mateer is. He's just got to protect the football, which he showed he could do last week, and he's got to manage the game and just let the defense do what the defense does and not screw anything up. And I do think there's a clear path to victory with either quarterback. So I agree with you. Now you're going to understand why I hated your answer. True or false? Oklahoma's defensive line against the Texas offensive line is the largest advantage that the Sooners have in this game.
True. And it's not even close. This Texas offensive line is just kind of mind-blowing to see from,
Mhm.
what they had the past 2 years to what they have now. It's just a night and day difference for the Longhorns.
Yeah,
And, we talked about it Sunday. This defensive line is not just good, but they're deep. On the interior, you have four guys that would be starters at just
yeah,
about any college in the country. Defensive ends, you have two really great defensive ends. You have one superstar in R. Mason Thomas, and then you still have Taylor Wine, who's had a great season. Uh, PJ, who's coming along. We saw Danny Akuya last Saturday coming along. So they have that depth as well.
absolutely. Again, we're even in agreement on this. 58% was the pressure rate for Arch Manning last week against Florida. I mean, dumbing everything down, just in case anybody doesn't know what that means. That means that Arch Manning felt pressure on 58% of his passing attempts. So almost 6 out of 10 times he threw the ball, he faced pressure, which is an insane amount. And I think it's just going to be equal or worse with Oklahoma this coming week. All right, here's my last one. True or false? You've already answered it, but true or false? Special teams will be a deciding factor in the game's outcome.
I'm going to say true. Um, I don't I don't know what else to say besides what I said a little bit ago. I think what our special team is capable of is flipping the field position with our punting
Right.
game, pinning them deep, and then with Isaiah Satanga returning punts, we saw what
Mm-hmm.
kind of a spark he can be. And then our field goals have been this phenomenon this season. Um, so I true.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned flipping the field because most of the times when you think of special teams, you think of field goals, you think of like Satania and big returns, kickoff returns, or punt returns. You think about all of those things. But man, you don't think about the weapon that your punter can be. And when you look at Oklahoma's defense, and you get Texas, pinned inside their own 20, this defense is going to eat. They're going to have a good chance to give you back great field position. And so I think that's such a huge factor that maybe we don't give enough credit to. And I agree. I think this is true as well. I think the special teams will be huge in the outcome on Saturday at the Cotton Bowl. We've got so much more to talk about here, Oklahoma, Texas, the Red River Rivalry breakdown here on the Sooner Nation podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Hey, this is a part of the podcast where we get to number one. Thank everybody for listening. Thank you for being a part of our show, whether you're catching us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, YouTube, wherever you're finding us. Thanks so much, Caleb. I don't know, I didn't even tell you this, but from now to last month, the last 30 days, we've had a 30% increase in our downloads, our interactions, and so forth. Over 15,000 followers on our Facebook page. Man, thank you so much for being a part of Sooner Nation and being a part of what we do here with Heartland Sports. Now we're going to flip the script a little bit and give you control of the podcast, Caleb. The part where we call over under, and you're going to throw out 3 stats, and I'm going to tell you whether it be over or under. I'm going to tell you the reason why, and then you're going to say maybe one or two things about it as well, if you agree or disagree with me. So take it away, my man.
So the first one I got for you is 3.5 total touchdowns for John Mateer.
Dude, I'm on record saying he's not going to play. Hypothetically, if John Mateer plays, you said 2.5 or 3.5?
3.5.
I'm going to go under. Even if he plays, I'm going to go under. I think it's 2. And when you get down to my score prediction, you're going to see the reason why I'm going under, but I say under.
I would agree with you. I just felt like 2.5 to 3 was just too easy. So that's why I put it at 3.5. But I would agree with you. All right. So my second
Nice.
one is 200 total rushing yards, both teams combined.
Oh, dang. That's good. That may be one of the best ones you've given me. 200?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go under, man. I'm going to go under because I think I love Oklahoma's run defense. I don't love Texas running game. I think that's an advantage Sooners. I think Oklahoma needs to run the ball in this game. But, I mean, I don't think they're going to get close to 200 yards on the ground. I've always said that floor is right around 150, and they've never even got to there. So I'm going to go under on this. It makes me nervous, but I'm going to go under here.
I would completely agree with you. You know, Texas running game has kind of stalled, especially after losing C.J. Baxter. He's listed as doubtful for the Longhorns coming into Saturday. So I don't expect much out of their running game, and I don't really expect much out of Oklahoma's running game. But now that we both agreed on that, it's going to be like a record-breaking night for both teams this season, and they're both going to go over for 200 yards
Yeah, they're
each.
both going to like rip off 70-yard runs or something like that. Yeah.
All right, and the third and final one I got for you is 1.5 total turnovers forced by the Sooners.
Okay, so let me before I answer your question, let me just say I'm so disappointed. There's no Jaren Kanak question here. I just want you to know I'm really disappointed in that. So man, that means they got to get 2. I'm gonna say, dude, it's Arch Manning. I'm gonna, dang it, because I risk the I risk the jinx here, but it's Arch Manning. I say over. I say they get at least. You said 1.5, right?
Yes.
I say they get at least 2. I think they need to get 2. So give me the over on that one. I think that's the only one I took the over.
We're gonna go 3 for 3. I agree with you. I think, this Texas team has turned over the ball in every single game they've played so far. And I
Right.
get it that Oklahoma has not been fortunate to get many turnovers this season, but we saw the gates open against Kent State. All we needed was 1, and we ended up getting 2 that game. So I agree. You jumped the gun a little bit because I did have a bonus one for you
Oh,
featuring
okay.
Jaren Kanak at
Dude, that's twice. That's twice I've kind of gone off and like, dude, Caleb, I can't believe. And then he's like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Jaren Kanak, give it to me.
I was going to use him as one of my main ones, but I did have one for you at 3.5 receptions.
Oh, I love that one. I love that one. Let me take the over because I think he can easily have more than 4 receptions in this game. So let me take the over.
That one was hard for me. I think I would agree, but we've seen him get 3 receptions in the first drive and then just go radio silent. And then we've seen him kind of lead the team in receptions. So, but I do think that 3.5 is, I expect, I know I've said this so many times, but I am expecting a big game out of Jaren Kanak this Saturday.
Yeah, let me just take a minute and tell you why. First of all, I love that question, but let me tell you why I think that's an over. Because I think if I'm Texas, regardless of who the quarterback is for Oklahoma, you've either got a fairly inexperienced Michael Hawkins, or you've got a not 100% John Mateer. So what do? You make them beat you with the pass. And I mean, Oklahoma has not set the world on fire running the ball, but still, you stack the box, you bring pressure, and you make them show that they can throw over top of your pressure. And that to me means big time opportunity for the tight end. And so that's why I love that question. And that's why I love the over there. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And not only that, but you're gonna want those. Texas defensive line is fantastic. And so
Yeah.
you're gonna want those easy, quick throws. And I feel like that's where Jaren Kansas is gonna shine is kind of those sitting in the middle of the field and finding that soft spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's explosive enough to where if it is 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, Texas is gonna bring pressure. John Mateer's gonna be like, hey, John Mateer or Hawkins gonna be like, hey, here's Kanik, and I know he can make a play to go get that first down.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love it. I think Jaron Kanek is going to be a star on Saturday. Um, how about this? There's no give me's in this game. I mean, there's no guarantees. We've seen one of these teams ranked in the top 10 and the other one unranked, and the unranked team wins it and upsets it. We've seen it over and over again. So ranking, that's why we say rankings don't matter, records don't matter. So there's no guarantees. But what is the biggest key for Oklahoma to help guarantee a win? If you could guarantee a win, what's this thing that Oklahoma needs to do?
I think they just got to control the line of scrimmage,
Mm-hmm.
both sides of the ball. Oklahoma's offensive line has not been stellar at all this season, but they have been pretty good in pass protection. That's something they're going to have to keep up. And then this defensive line is going to have to get pressure. But not only that, but contain. Arch Manning can hurt you with his legs, and I do expect them to try to use that against this Oklahoma defense. And so you have to contain them, and you have to control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned containment because I think that's that's an underlooked part when you're facing Arch Manning because I think he's at this point of the season what we've seen from him maybe more dangerous with his legs than with his arm. I think for me though the biggest key to this game for Oklahoma is to run the football, and I know they've not done that. I get it. But man, if you can, like you said, control the line of scrimmage and get a push and actually have a decent running game, it takes pressure off of John Mateer. It takes pressure off of Michael Hawkins, and it makes both of those guys more dangerous because of what they can do themselves with their legs. And so I think for Oklahoma, man, if you tell me Oklahoma comes out with a 150 running day, right, 150-yard rushing day, I feel good about it. I feel really, really good about it. If you tell me Oklahoma has 70 yards, I don't feel as confident um, in their ability to win this game. So I think if Oklahoma runs the ball, man, give me that all day and help boost my confidence. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Well, let's go to the other side of the field then. Look across, and you're Sark, and you want to try to help with your fan base, right? You're gonna say, guys, look, I know it's been disappointing, but before you fire me, let me just say this: this is what we're gonna do on Saturday, and it's gonna help us have a victory over Oklahoma. What is that biggest key for Texas? What's the biggest thing they've got to do?
Man, I don't want to be lame and say the exact same thing as if Oklahoma with control line of scrimmage, which I do think is going to be
Uh-huh.
a big key for them. But I think you have to kind of get Arch Manning going. He, I mean, outside of Sam Houston, he has not looked like a elite quarterback. He's
Right.
looked like a quarterback who throws interceptions. He's looked like a quarterback who overthrows his targets. He looks like a quarterback that can't handle pressure. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm Sark, I'm thinking, how do I unlock this 5-star quarterback that I have?
Let me just go off script here for a second. When you look at the two biggest games of the season that the Longhorns have played, Ohio State and then last week at Florida, and you see that Arch has not played good. Not not just he hasn't just been good. I mean, he's bad in those two losses. how much more ridiculous does it make it look that he flexed on Sam Houston State?
It's embarrassing, to say the least. I get it. It's you got to take the context. I know that video blew
Mm-hmm.
up. A couple plays before that, uh, Arch got hit by that safety. The safety jumped up and flexed. So I kind of get it. It's kind of like I got my revenge back. But at the same time, you're the number one overall player. You're on a Texas team
Mm-hmm.
that was ranked number one overall at some point in the season, and this is Sam Houston State. Like, kind of pump your brakes a little bit there.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like that guy getting to Arch, he's not supposed to do that. He's not supposed to do that. So he has earned the right to flex. Arch getting into the end zone against that dude, that's exactly what he's supposed to do. Anyway, I mean, do that against Ohio State in flex. Do that against Florida in flex. Heck, do that Saturday against Oklahoma in flex. But hey, whatever. I digress. So here's my biggest key for Texas. It's ball security. Because I think one way or the other, this Oklahoma offense is going to be limited because even if John Mateer plays, he's not 100%. There's zero chance that he's going to be 100%. So don't give them opportunities. Keep this a grind out, low scoring defensive battle where a special teams play here or there makes the difference. And someone's going to break. Both teams are going to bend, someone's going to break. Well, if you turn the ball over, guess what? You're the one who broke. So I think if you're Texas, the last thing you want to do is to continue to give this Oklahoma defense momentum, and you don't want to give a limited Oklahoma offense a short field. So for me, I think ball security is the biggest thing. Can I have your permission to go off script one more time?
Absolutely.
Because I just thought about this. Tell me a player, I'm putting you on a spot here. Tell me a defensive player that's not it's not an R. Mason Thomas, right? It's not a Peyton Bowen. Tell me kind of like a guy we don't talk about very much who's going to come up with a big play on Saturday from the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma.
I'm going to go with Eli Bowen.
I just said you can't go with Eli Bowen.
You said Peyton
no,
Bowen.
sorry, I said Peyton. Dude, I'm just off my game. My bad. Eli Bowen.
3 times.
I love that answer.
Three times.
Strike three. I'm so out. I love Eli Bowen. Yes, keep going.
If you look at last season, this game had a lot of doom and gloom. But one bright spot that you can take out of it is Eli Bowen played fantastic. Of course, this is not the start to the season Eli thought he was going to have with only playing in one game.
Right.
This should be his first start of the season.
I was just about to ask you that. I'm glad you mentioned it.
I fully expect Eli to kind of like, hey, Sooner Nation, I'm back. I was a freshman All-American last year. I'm not missing a beat. And so, especially with what we saw against Auburn with Cam Coleman and other receivers, I feel like Texas is going to try our corners. And that's just a recipe for success for Eli, in my opinion.
Okay, I love it. I love that answer. Sorry, that's 3 times. Next time you get to be the host of the podcast. Flip sides of the ball and give me an offensive guy.
I'm going to say a guy that I kind of gave up on, but give me Jaden Ott.
Yes.
You got him going against Kent State. I get it's Kent State, but you kind of got his feet wet. And you're kind of like, all right, let's see if you can go do this against Texas. I know Texas is not the best team in the nation. I know Texas is not as good as everybody thought they were claiming they would be, but this is still a really, really solid defense. And he can if he comes out and has a night where he has 15 carries, close to 100 yards and a couple touchdowns, he gets back in that conversation of possibly being a first-round draft pick, like many thought he would be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, see, that I shied away from that when I was giving my biggest key to the game for Oklahoma, just because that's when I had the idea to ask you these questions, and I was going to totally throw out Jaden Ott because I've always said that this is the game Texas was my marker for Jaden Ott. And I liked what I saw. I thought he had a little bit more pop last week. And you're right, it was Kent State. But I see a good 1-2 punch with Blaylock and Ott, and then kind of throwing in Javante Barnes as a change of pace, third down guy. I think there's a chance Oklahoma comes up with a good plan to run the ball against Texas on Saturday. Since you took Jaden Ott, let me just throw out just a random crazy name who's going to, I think, make a big play. You ready for this?
Jaron Kanik.
Keontez Lewis. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to have a big play in the game. So there, I'm just throw that out there. All right, here we go. It's crazy what this spread has done. Oklahoma opened up as a 1.5 point dog, and a lot of people said that 1.5 point dog included the fact that John Mateer is going to play. I don't think it's a coincidence that on the day where we got the most positive news there was about John Mateer, that this point spread swapped from Sooners being a 1.5 point dog to a 1.5 point favorite. But I also happen to know that as of yesterday, as of Wednesday, there was a bang load of money coming in on Oklahoma, listed anywhere between 1.5 to 3.5 point dogs. There was a lot of money. All the smart money was coming in on the Sooners. And that's also a reflection of why this point spread swapped over, I think, to Oklahoma being -1.5. Over under is 45.5. Give me your score prediction, Caleb. How's this going to shake off when the game ends? Teams are walking off the field in the Cotton Bowl. Who's going to have the golden hat?
So I have 2 predictions. Is that okay? Am I allowed?
It's always okay.
Okay, so the first prediction is what my heart is telling me, and my heart is telling me 49-0. But my actual score prediction is 33-17 Oklahoma.
33-17. So that would mean you got them hitting the over, obviously the 1.5 point spread and the over. We're not too far off. I've got Oklahoma winning the game and hitting that 1.5 point spread, but I've got this game at the under. I've got the Sooners 23-17, and that includes 3 field goals. And that's why I was talking about special teams so much. I think that is a big factor for Oklahoma in this game on Saturday. We've seen that he's a weapon, and I think the Sooners are able to use him with a limited offensive attack. So 23-17 Sooners, and I'll take it to the bank because that means 6-0. And we know that Oklahoma did not get to their 6th win until the 11th game of the season last year. So way ahead of schedule. The Sooners walk off the field. If they win by 0.5 point, I'm satisfied, right?
I mean, that's impossible, but yes.
But you know what I mean. I mean, the win 6-0.
Yes, 100%.
That's going to wrap it up for this. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Sooner Nation podcast. Oklahoma, Texas, Saturday, 2:30 kickoff. We'll have more coverage after the game next week. You can find us every day online, heartland-sports.com. He's Caleb. I'm Matt. This has been the Sooner Nation podcast.
I will walk by